Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into something a little bit different and honestly pretty exciting. We are taking a mountain of New York City travel intel and distilling it down into a highly curated, thematic insider's guide. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed trying to plan a trip to the city that never sleeps, paralyzed by a million restaurant reviews, conflicting neighborhood guides, and endless ticket options, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to break down some of the absolute best sources out there to craft a masterclass in NYC navigation, focusing on three very distinct, very iconic experiences to help you build a flawless itinerary.
Here is our game plan for today. First, shopping. Fifth Ave versus Soho. Second, surviving the Comedy Cellar. Third, Williamsburg, dives to wine bars. And finally, Sky High, NYC rooftops.
All right, part one, shopping. Fifth Ave versus Soho.
Let's kick things off with the ultimate shopping showdown. We're looking at two iconic but completely different fashion meccas. On one hand, you've got Fifth Avenue, specifically that golden stretch between 49th and 60th Streets. This is your legacy luxury. I mean, imagine stepping into Bergdorf Goodman, which is literally housed inside a 1928 Vanderbilt mansion just to look at clothes. It's wild. And Saks Fifth Avenue? Their shoe floor is so incredibly massive, the U.S. Postal Service actually gave it its very own zip code, 122-SHOE. That is the definition of historic opulence. But then you contrast that midtown grandeur with Soho, down south of Houston Street. This is the downtown trendsetter. The vibe here is much more boutique, intimate, and edgy. Instead of massive department stores, you're hunting for eco-friendly, repurposed vintage at places like Reformation, or maybe grabbing an authentic shot leather jacket, the original motorcycle jacket Marlon Brando made famous. So it's really this clash of historic wealth versus bohemian chic edge.
There's this great quote from the official NYC tourism guide about Fifth Avenue that hits the nail on the head. On any given day, the city's most fashionable street resembles a couture runway. And honestly, it is so true. Whether you're just window shopping the museum-quality, diamond-encrusted displays at Tiffany & Co., or you're actually dropping cash on an entirely new wardrobe, walking down Fifth Avenue requires, well, a certain bravura. You aren't just shopping, you're participating in a century-old New York tradition of seeing and being seen. It really makes you wonder, are you ready to walk that runway?
Moving right along to number 2, surviving the Comedy Cellar.
So the sun goes down, you've shopped till you dropped, and now you want some entertainment in the heart of Greenwich Village. We're talking about the legendary Comedy Cellar. Now, if you want to survive and thrive in this highly intimate space, there's one golden rule you absolutely cannot forget, and that is the number 2. There is a strict 2-item minimum per person once you're inside. And hey, don't sweat it. This doesn't mean you have to buy expensive artisan cocktails. It can be food, drinks, or literally just bottled water, but they do strictly enforce it. Oh, and here's a fun fact. They make you lock your smartphone and smartwatch in an opaque pouch for the entire duration of the show. I know, in 2024 that feels like a total shock to the system, but it's beautifully intentional. It forces you to disconnect and just soak in the purity and surprise of the live performance.
This place is globally famous for a reason. You literally have legends like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, or Ray Romano dropping in completely unannounced to test out new material. Because of that, shows sell out online in a flash. The stakes are high, but man, the payoff of seeing a legend up close makes it completely worth the effort. Now, if you didn't snag a reservation, here is the exact insider protocol you need to follow. First, get there 1 to 2 hours before showtime just to find the venue's standby sign. Second, write your name on the list immediately because the cap is super tight, like 20 to 30 people max depending on the room. Third, just be patient. Confirmed reservations get seated first, and then it's a first-come, first-served gamble for whatever empty seats are left. It's a roll of the dice, but it could easily be the highlight of your entire trip.
Now, here's what's genuinely surprising: how incredibly accessible these ticket prices actually are. In a city where you might drop hundreds on a nosebleed Broadway seat, catching world-class stand-up here is only going to run you $15 to $25 at the door, depending on the day of the week. But there is a catch. To maintain that famous, intimate atmosphere, they strictly limit party sizes. You can't roll up with more than 8 people at the McDougal Street spot, and no more than 4 at the Fat Black Pussycat Room. It's actually a genius system that keeps the focus entirely on the comedy rather than rowdy bachelor parties.
Next up, part 3, Williamsburg, dives to wine bars.
After all those laughs, we're crossing the East River into Brooklyn to break down the Williamsburg bar scene. It is easily one of the most fun, dynamic neighborhoods in the city, but the sheer number of options can be totally dizzying. If you're looking for a casual, completely unpretentious night out, you have some amazing options. Take Rock-A-Roola.
It's this phenomenal dive bar where you literally drink cheap beer out of these massive, heavy chalices that clink loudly against the wooden tables. Then you got the Alligator Lounge, which is legendary among locals because you get a piping hot, free personal pizza straight from a brick oven with every single beer you buy. Plus, they've got karaoke and pool. Or if you want something a bit louder and livelier, Radagast Hall is this massive Bavarian-themed beer garden. Picture the roar of laughter, huge glass steins of Pilsner, sizzling schnitzels, and a live brass band playing right in the corner. But hey, maybe you want the exact opposite vibe. If you're trying to impress on a date, or just want to escape the winter chill and cozy up with a great glass of red, this highly intimate side of Williamsburg is your go-to. Sauced is super fascinating because it's completely menu-free. You just tell the bartender your flavor profile and they curate a unique glass specifically for you. Pretty cool, right? Then there's DOC Wine Bar, giving off this incredibly warm, old-school Italian feel with rustic wood panels that makes you feel like you've teleported right out of New York and into Tuscany. And if you want exclusivity, Domino Wine Bar takes it to the next level. It's a tiny, beautifully designed spot with literally only about 5 tables in the entire place.
Dives and wine bars are absolutely incredible for keeping your feet firmly planted on the ground and soaking in that neighborhood energy. But what if you want a 360-degree view of the Manhattan skyline?
That brings us perfectly to part 4, sky-high NYC rooftops.
New York City is arguably the rooftop capital of the world. There are hundreds of them spread across the boroughs, so figuring out which one matches your specific mood is the true secret to an unforgettable night. Instead of endlessly scrolling through 40 different venues and just guessing, this categorization lets you instantly pick your ideal sky-high experience. Want uncompromised 360-degree views where you can see every bridge and skyscraper? Hudson View is your top pick. Hunting for that perfect golden hour sunset sip? Head straight to Harry's Rooftop or The Crown. If you want a vibrant, classic NYC nightlife party with a DJ and a stylish crowd, Jimmy in Soho is the destination. For daytime poolside lounging under the summer sun, it's Terrace on 7. And for a gorgeous weekend brunch surrounded by greenery, Creature's Rooftop is the spot. You just match your mood to the list, and you're set.
Of course, sometimes you just want to go as high up as humanly possible, right? Defying gravity just to see the city from the clouds. If ultimate, dizzying height is your goal, Bar 54 is exactly where you need to be. Perched all the way up on the 54th floor on the Hyatt Centric, it floats right above the chaotic hustle and bustle of Times Square. It's one of the highest outdoor rooftops in the entire city, offering these spectacular river-to-river views that will genuinely leave you awestruck as the glittering grid of Manhattan stretches out endlessly below you.
So let's tie all of this intel together. By breaking your trip down into these distinct themes, identifying your exact shopping style, mastering the strict but rewarding entertainment protocols of the comedy clubs, and choosing your specific neighborhood bar or rooftop vibe, you completely conquer that overwhelming city landscape. You stop being just another stressed-out tourist hoping for the best, and you become a master architect of your own travel experience. That shift in perspective, moving from totally overwhelmed to totally dialed in, that's the real emotional payoff of having this insider knowledge.
Hopefully this explainer has given you the edge you need to curate a trip that perfectly fits your personal style. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. When you step out of your hotel on your next trip, are you going to be strutting down the legacy couture runway of Fifth Avenue or hunting for rare vintage finds in the trendy streets of Soho? The choice is entirely yours, and now you've got the precise playbook to do it right. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.